Hi, my name is Paul Stafford. I'm the Director of the Foundation course here at Kingston University. You'll be at an open day, I guess, won't you? That's why you're here today. So myself or one of my staff will have taken the open day. So taking them in the building and seeing students work. And the most common question that I'm asked at open days is, what gets a student into the course? We have over 1,000 people applying for this course. So the question I'm asked all the time is, what gets a person in? What's the portfolio like? So I thought I would show you a portfolio. This is a young lady who's applied to us called Antonio. So I'm going to go through the folder in a minute and explain to you that process. Before we do that, I'll explain what's going on in this room. Russell will pan round in a minute and show you a bit of a mayhem in this room, in fact. We've got about 400 folders in here at the moment. They came in yesterday morning, on Thursday morning. We started looking at the folders Thursday afternoon, all day Friday. It's now Friday at 5:15, and my staff are just wrapping up the whole process at the end. And we've looked at these 400 folders, myself and all my staff, in a day and a half. And you might think we'd find that a kind of laborious task maybe, or something that we get a bit stressed out. But I have to say, it's really interesting. For me, as the head of the department, it's great to see the staff talking to each other and enjoying showing each other folders they've looked at. I mean, it's happened countless times today. Staff are saying, look at this one, look at this folder, look how interesting this is. So I think it's great that they're doing that, they're engaged in that kind of way. All the staff take part in the process because they're picking the students for interview who are going to come and join us next September. For me, that's really important that all the staff are a part of that process. So as I said, Russell will show you around the room in a second, then I'll come back to the portfolio. So as I said, I'm just going to go through this portfolio. I'm going to ask the girls' permission, obviously, and Antonio is probably on our course now. So before this film, I'm going to have asked her if it's okay if I can show you her work. I've picked it because, with respect to Antonio, it's not the best folder in the world. It's far from the worst. In my view, it's maybe, the folders are from 1 to 10 in terms of quality. It's 8 probably. But what interests me is that I don't want to show you things here that are going to put you off or make you think that the work you're doing maybe isn't good enough, and I want to show you things that show you the kind of work that gets people onto a course. It's not the best folder in the world, it's not the worst folder in the world. It's in the mid-ground, it's slightly above the mid-ground in my view. So I hope Antonio doesn't mind that. We really like the work in this portfolio, so I'll just go through it and explain to you why I think it's where it is. So the folder opens with, I'm not sure if this is her or not, these colour images. There's wax on top, I quite like it, it opens quite nicely, it's kind of resting, and a folder should do that really. She goes on to do some more work with this, looking at photo montage and playing around with techniques on top of the photograph itself. Again, quite interesting, some more work here along the same lines. I've seen this girl's photograph on her application form, and this must be her. I like that. It reminds me a bit of Arno Perena, you know, the painter who plays around with those kind of materials in that way, inks that are dripping. I think it's quite interesting, isn't it, as a set of images? It's quite arresting. I think it's not the normal kind of work you might see from from an aerial regime maybe. It's quite interesting personal work, and we look for that in the portfolios. Here she is again, using herself, kind of solarising the images. We then get to some kind of extra work, I think, here. She's playing around with repeating images again. Looks to be a snake, doesn't it, and antlers. Illustration based on the work of an artist, so good. She's looking at different artists. She's looking at life drawing. I noticed in her form that her school talked about the way that she didn't feel her life drawing was good enough, so she went to an intense life drawing course. Well, good for her, because later on you see some kind of weaker life drawings. I think it's interesting that she's moved, because I quite like these. I think they're quite good. I like the pose, I like the fact that somebody's wearing something. So often we're seeing naked people the whole time, and it's quite nice for me actually to see a folder of work that's got people with some clothes on. So here she is. That's the piece of work there, so she's telling us about the scale. That's always a good idea. Tell us how big the work is. Sometimes we can't see the scale of things, so show us the scale of the work itself. And she must have been doing it from this person here, mustn't she? So again, telling us where she's got the idea from. She's got using that ink, again, that kind of ink method she was working with, she was using her self-portraits. I quite like that, so using it in a different kind of context. She goes into 3 dimensions here. She's working with hangings, 2-dimensional hangings, working with polythene, so working with layers and drawing together with inks and burning things through. And I like that, it's experimental. It's showing that she's able to work in different ways. She likes experimental materials, we like that on the course. Then more drawings related, I think, to that particular project. Then starts to work on canvas, but not in a traditional way. She appears to be printing materials onto canvas and drawing on them as well, quite like that. This must relate, mustn't it, to this canvas here. She's looking at etching. She's been etching these things down the etching press, so again arranging materials. We come to her life drawings here, and as I said, she's done this intensive life drawing course. Because there are mistakes in it, aren't there? You can look at this arm. There's something strange going on between this arm and this arm. This appears to be coming over the top of that arm, so it's actually, it's kind of not right, is it? If you're teaching a girl, you put this line here like a shelf across the back. I'm not quite sure that the back can ever do that in that kind of straight line. So I'm not quite sure where the hips place within her body. So all over the drawing, there are mistakes in a way, aren't there? Look at how her knee comes down. It appears to be kind of dislocated. So I like it in the sense that it's in, because it's showing you where she's come from. Because I think the drawing she's done elsewhere, down here when she goes to that life drawing course, I think are really interesting, bold drawings for a person who's kind of confident. Whereas here, it's drawn by someone who actually is not very confident in what she's doing and has got something to learn. So I think fair play to how she's put them in. And some more drawings here again, not the best drawings. And, these drawings here, really miles away from those drawings when she's, I think, attended that life drawing class. So I like that. I like her showing us where she's come from, in a sense. Here she's again playing with more materials. Classically working with skills, lots of people do from schools in sixth forms, don't they? Playing with skills, drawing skills. She then finally, on a final project, gets into a personal project. Again, I think this is about her. It's a communication project. I quite like the way she's using text to draw. Again, it draws back to kind of personal-based work. And I like that. It doesn't appear to be a school project. It appears to be something that she wants to do. So I want that in a way towards the end of the folder. Because I've lost a bit of interest in terms of where the folders works. I like the way it opened with those kind of portraits, working with wax and things. I quite like the information it gives. So I'll tail off a bit with the life drawings. As I've gotten towards the end, I've got more kind of engaged, she's showing me more of her personal work. And I like, as I said, I like the way she's working with text and image together to make up a portrait of, I guess it's herself, isn't it, I guess. Talking about her, talking about being young, talking about a young person's life. So I think as a folder, 7, 7.58, the personal work I like. The body of work itself is interesting. I think it's got the right amount of different materials in it to find it interesting for us, to see a range of drawing, a range of attack, a range of materials. The sketchbooks are down here. So we go to the sketchbooks for final piece of information. There are 4 of them, fine, that's kind of what we expect to see at this stage. Playing with inks, playing with materials. I guess this is her. Covered my face, so it's her using herself. I like the fact she's using herself self-portraits. Just talking through the folder itself, telling us what she's up to. I like that about it, looking at different artists, different video artists' work. It's good. I think it's very interesting as a body of research. Telling us what she's going on, eye transfer some images, etc., etc. She tells us what she's up to. It's good. It's a good bit of dialogue about what she's doing. Here she's looking at art historical figures, their draw portraits. So again, more information about portraiture per se. Must be her friends, nice drawings of her mates, which she's doing. Turned them into etching. She appears to have an interest in etching, doesn't she? Final sketchbook. Back to that previous project about when she was using etching again to make drawings of spanners and hard-based materials. Doing some plan drawing somewhere, she's been out in the landscape doing some plan drawing somewhere. Maybe have an interest in architecture. Or is she using it just as a background for a fine art piece of work? And it's kind of interesting in terms of research, isn't it? Nice. Great end body of work. Wouldn't surprise me if when she comes to it, she doesn't get involved in fine art, doesn't get involved in printmaking, actually, because she seems to have a kind of a currency to the fold of printmaking per se. So I think it's fine. I think, you invite the girl for interview. She'll now come with 10 other people in the room upstairs for use for interviews, and I'm sure that we'll offer her a place if she's as bright in the flesh as she is to her folder. It's a bright, interesting, engaging folder, backed up with bright work in the research work, which she talks about her work the whole time. I think good for her. Well done.